Atlantis, lost in time, exploring the 9000 BCE claim. In the 6th century BCE, the renowned Athenian statesman and philosopher Solon journeyed to Egypt, seeking the wisdom of one of the world's oldest civilizations. In the sacred city of Sais, he was granted access to ancient knowledge preserved by the priesthood during the reign of Pharaoh Amasis, 570 to 526 BCE. There, Solon was told of a magnificent island civilization called Atlantis, which had once challenged the balance of the ancient world. According to the Egyptian priests, this event had occurred 9,000 years before Solon's time, a staggering date if taken literally. It places Atlantis' downfall around 9,600 BCE at the end of the last ice age. Solon passed this account down through his family line, and it was ultimately immortalized by Plato in the dialogues Timaeus and Critias around 360 BCE. In Critias, Plato describes Atlantis not only in grand architectural and political detail, but also through its geographic and celestial orientation. One particularly poetic passage reads, "But this place was turned toward the south of the whole island, facing away from the bears, lying under the north wind, and the mountains around it were then said to be numerous." The bears, Don Arcton, clearly reference the constellations Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, markers of the northern sky. The phrase "facing away from the bears" emphasizes a southern orientation, a subtle but meaningful astronomical cue. But what did the night sky actually look like at the time Plato's Atlantis was allegedly destroyed? Modern scholarship has re-examined the claim that Atlantis fell 9,000 years before Solon. Some now argue that this figure, like the 11,000 years cited by Egyptian priest to Herodotus, may not have referred to solar years, but rather to lunar months, a timekeeping system widely used in early Egypt. With 12 lunar months equaling roughly one solar year, therefore 9,000 BCE is really 9,000 lunar months, which would equal to 750 solar years. Solon visited Egypt around 570 BCE, add the 750 solar years, and that comes to 1320 BCE, the time when Atlantis existed. This brings the timeline of Atlantis out of the misty myth of 10,000 BCE and firmly into the late Bronze Age, a time of thriving empires such as Mycenaean Greece, Minoan Crete, and the New Kingdom Egypt. And here, the astronomy becomes even more revealing. In 1320 BCE, the North Star was not Polaris, as it is today. Instead, it was Kochab, a bright star in Ursa Minor, positioned near the celestial North Pole due to the slow wobble of the Earth's axis precession. This change would have subtly altered how ancient navigators and priests oriented themselves in the night sky. So when Plato describes Atlantis as turned toward the south and away from the bears, he may be recording not just myth, but a specific celestial geography from a time when Kochab marked the north. Such detail strengthens the idea that this was a memory of a real place and time, passed down through oral tradition and filtered through the astronomical understanding of the day. In this context, the grand civilization of Atlantis, its monumental architecture, advanced fleets, political organization, and sudden collapse, resembles not a utopia lost in the Ice Age, but a distorted memory of the Bronze Age world. It was a time marked by flourishing trade, interconnected cultures, and eventually a widespread collapse whose shockwaves were felt across the Mediterranean. Thus, the story Solon heard in Egypt, and which Plato preserved, may reflect a historical truth buried beneath the layers of myth, mistranslation, and celestial drift. A powerful civilization, remembered dimly, whose fall coincided with the twilight of the Mycenaean age, and whose legacy flickered in a night sky once ruled by Qajar.